if it's not, and why not? So we'll have the pros and the cons. We're gonna weigh out both sides. So we're gonna cover that briefly, and then after that, we're gonna open up and let's get the block in that ass or unblocking that ass if need be. You know,
Oh boy.
something different. We're gonna try something different. So I like to keep it
Oh
fresh.
man, this
And
guy, yo.
we're gonna keep it fresh and exciting. So we're gonna try it out, give it a run, see how it goes, and we're gonna have some fun with it.
This is the. I just want to note that this moment in time, we
Yes.
need to note 12:11. Excuse me, 12:12 a.m. Eastern Time is the
Ooh.
first time in history that Brother Shannon and I have been on the same live stream.
There you
Where is
go.
he
Okay.
at?
He's
Oh
on.
boy.
He's on
Yeah,
the
he's right
screen.
here.
Oh, I can't see anybody. I'm micro-sized on the. I'm
Oh
on
yeah,
the.
on the phone. You're on the phone.
Yeah, I'm on the phone, sitting in the car. So I'm. Yeah, I'm about to roll out in a few, but I gotta say what's up to Bro Shay before I bounce.
What's good, family?
What's good, bro?
That's
I know
What's
it's
up,
happening.
past
man?
your bedtime.
It's so funny. When I came in, all I heard was the blocking stuff. I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Turn your mic up, bro. Turn your mic up, Bro Shay.
Hold on, I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
turn it up for you.
Yeah, turn them up a little bit.
Give it a shot
Can you
now.
hear? Can you
Yeah.
hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I I uh I just had to chuckle because I keep hearing all this blocking stuff, and it makes me no sense. Tony already knows how I feel about it. Um, am I vibrating? Am I or reverbing?
Nah,
That
you
was
sound
that
clear.
was
You're
that
Okay,
good.
was
because I got
smoke
a
phone.
headset
Turn it
on. I
over
just
to
You
want to
your
make
good?
sure
phone.
I wasn't feedbacking on it. Okay. Um, I don't get the block culture. I never understood the block culture. Um, I'm not a blocker myself. I would rather you sit there and wallow in the mire and have to view my post or listen to my content versus me blocking you to punish you. I'm going to punish you by making you watch me. And if that's your mission to block me, then you block me. But I'm not blocking you. I don't have time for that. And I keep hearing a lot of that. And y'all brothers are solid. As far as I'm concerned, I see you try to resolve your differences as men. Um, uh, I heard Tony a little bit when I got on here. He said, "Oh shit," he's like, "You better put your explicit rating and everything on there." I know how to acquiesce, motherfucker. I know how to acquiesce. I'm not gonna get on this bitch and act
I was waiting
You
for
crazy.
him
know,
before the first motherfucker came out.
been outside the
Let's
house.
go.
I w-
You tell me
hey,
that.
I was like Kwame
Oh,
Brown. I waited 2 minutes. I waited 2 minutes.
oh, oh.
Now
So
you gotta go
now
two
the two
minutes. Then
minute
the first
now,
motherfucker came out.
now the 2 minutes is up. You better start flipping all them switches and shit.
Hey,
Bro
Um,
Smoke, you
Shay,
got your Bluetooth. Smoke, you got your Bluetooth on. That's what's echoing.
you know what? It's not on. I'm on the regular phone. The battery was dead in the Bluetooth. So
It's
maybe
echoing. Yeah, it's coming from your phone. That
let
echo's
me make
coming from
sure.
your phone. Okay.
make
All
sure
right,
it's
let me
not
make sure the
okay.
setting
Make
to a
sure it's not
Bluetooth
me because
device
I do have
isn't, but let me check
Bluetooth
the
setting.
setting.
Yeah, because I see it. I'm watching them sound meter on it.
Mm.
You
Hang on,
sound all
maybe it's
acquiesced.
mine. Hang on, give me. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna get out of here in 2 hot minutes. Um, hold on. Let me see if I can fix it first. But I don't like to sit in one place too goddamn long. I got moves to make. Hold on 1 second. Let me try this.
But no, I wouldn't.
How the fuck do I do that?
I appreciate you inviting me up, Ted. And it is the first
Damn.
time that we've
That'll
been
work.
on. Um, I don't know if you catch them all. I doubt if you catch them all. But one of the things that I do say in some of my streams, when I kick a movie line or a lyric, Ted be on my ass. Ted be on me. Ted knows the shit. He'll call the movie out, call the movie line out, the actor, everything out. It's so funny. And people like that, they just as psychotic as I am. They done seen movies 300 times and shit, and memorize movie scripts and shit like that. I mean, but no,
I do that too.
on the real, I think brothers out here, we're really trying to galvanize. Um, but there are some individuals who don't particularly want to unify. Um, but what they want to do is they want to elevate themselves and put themselves in a position of power. And I'm not sure exactly where we are with that. I mean, we're creating content. I call this the real news media now, because I think we say things way more real than anybody's going to report to us, and we dig beyond the headlines. But when you got cats out here claiming, I created this, I made this, I put this, I got a patent on this, that, and the other. I don't understand all that, because we're all basically reporting on the same business. We're all talking about the same things, unless it's
Right.
some personal stuff. Um, so I really try not to come up on a lot of people's casts, on the real, just because I'm not looking for that validation. I'll spit out my resume every now and then and let motherfuckers know, man. I was up and down the dial, over 20 years ago. But now for me, this is an easy thing. Hit play, record, whatever you want to call it, and just say what I say, get off. Before, I
Mhm.
was in a very regimented state with terrestrial radio. So this here, me being able to spit the content that I spit, and yes, I use profanity and different things like that. But this is what I wanted to talk about years ago, minus the profanity, obviously. And I just couldn't. I couldn't find anybody that wanted to hear my objective, not to steal from Star, but my objective perspective. I couldn't find anybody that wanted to hear that. Now I got a lot of people that want to hear it, but it's, well, I wouldn't say a lot. I ain't killing them like that, but I got more people that want to hear this message
You got a larger
versus what
crowd
I,
and a bigger audience. Yeah.
yeah, so of course everybody wants to hit the masses, but I don't even know if I want to hit the masses. I want to hit the people that are going to be viable in the movement, and fruitful. If you can't be fruitful for yourself, then you can't be fruitful for others.
Mm-mm.
Um, and I see that a lot. I see people that are not even fruitful for themselves, but they think they out here facilitating for others. And I'm sorry, I don't know. That just
I'm
doesn't
not
work
mad at
for me.
anybody trying to put something on. I just don't think a lot of us are trying to take from each other. I think we're trying to build off of each other, and maybe
Right.
I'm wrong.
I thought that's what this was about. That we
I
build,
did too.
that we build off of each other. Not that, I'm not seeking. That's like me coming on one day and be like, man, I heard a nigga with a deep voice on here. This motherfucker trying to be me. Come on, man, that's crazy shit. You know, he need to lighten up a couple octaves and shit. That motherfucker sound like me. Like,
You know what?
what
Nah,
you
well, you know
doing?
what? I think that let me jump. Let me interrupt for 1 second, fellas. I think that this shit, it was in this in one particular instance, it was something that got a little blown out of proportion, bro. It
You said
started
it
Well,
did.
as
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Before you
it,
get
it
into it, bro,
I'm not
I
gonna get
know
too
what you're.
far into it. I ain't even gonna go deep into it like that.
Okay, okay,
I just wanted
okay.
to say it just started off. It started as a quiet. Sometimes when something goes on, you kind of we old school. Well, I'm old school. I used to call it like put a nigga on or pull a nigga coattails. They used to say that in the
Hmm.
generation before me. Pull a nigga coattail on something. So if you try to pull somebody coattails on the low about it, and they decide that they feel offended and want to go public with it, that's on them. They got to take whatever
Right,
consequences come with that. But
right.
your coattail was pulled privately. You went public, and that's all I got to say with that. Not you as
And
in you, brother, but as
oh, I
in
know, I know, I
whoever
know.
else was concerned.
Look,
So we're gonna just take that at that. I'm done. I'm
yeah,
done with that. Like I've been
but
done. So whoever
yeah,
want to keep going on, go on. But nobody's paying you no attention. That's all I got to say.
it's
You
just
know.
not
Dude said the deep
beneficial. It's
voice.
it's not
That shit was.
beneficial. I'm sorry, Ted. I stepped on. I'm sorry, Tony. I stepped on you. I'm sorry,
Nah,
Tony.
you,
Go ahead.
you. I'm sitting here laughing
Deep
at
voice.
you.
Nigga sound like
This
me.
dude
His
got a
voice
deep
deep.
voice. He said,
He said you sound deep as hell. You sound like me.
But that's the kind
You
of
know.
energy it is. It's like, we obviously
Oh.
can't be stealing. We're not stealing from one another. I mean, you may come up with an idea and somebody else takes that idea one step further, because your idea was the seedling, and somebody else went and took a clipping of your seedling, and put it in their own little cup and watch that shit grow. Don't condemn that person for going one step further with it.
Oh,
I
not at
mean,
all.
you should commend that person for. I mean, here's the thing. They used to tell me that impersonating a person was like a best form of flattery. They used to say
Right.
that somebody's trying to
It's a
be like
compliment.
you.
Yes.
That's a
Imitation.
compliment.
Imitation is like
Imitation,
flattery.
yeah, imitations like flattery. Now, and here's the thing. We all grew up in the hip hop era. Biting. Biting off of
Yeah.
somebody's
Yes.
style used to be ridiculed, but then in behind the scenes, them cats used to be like, I mean, they knew that if somebody bit your style, that means you must have been doing good.
Yep.
But
You were
Facts.
doing the
you
right
acknowledge
thing.
it and you let them know before you did it. That was the old school
You,
Yeah.
tradition.
well, that was the other thing, and it's so funny though, just to dip into that, but not really to dip into that. After
Yeah.
all these years, because you still hear it in interviews, Rakim is still salty as hell at Will Smith for stealing his flow on Summer Madness. I mean,
Facts.
Yep.
I
It was
Rakim
a
is
remember that.
spite.
salty.
Summertime.
Summertime. It
Summertime.
was
I'm
a pure
sorry.
fight.
I say
Yeah, I
Summer
Yeah.
remember
Madness
that
because of the
now.
song.
Yeah.
I go to the original track. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Summertime. Rakim is
Facts.
low key salty because that truly was him on that record. I mean,
Yep.
Will Smith doesn't have Rakim around to emulate on that record. That record doesn't happen.
Nope.
That record.
And you
That,
know
that
what?
record.
Wow.
And Nasir Jones wrote that record, and Will Smith imitated the Rakim voice. But yeah, that was a Nas, the rapper, wrote the song and
You
got
just
paid.
dropped
And
a
then
mother.
Will
Let me
Smith
see if I can
stole
even.
the
I got to
fucking
exit out
Rakim
of this
flow.
here.
Yeah, he stole
I
the
got.
Rakim flow, and Rakim didn't eat off of that at all. Yeah,
See,
that
this
sucks.
would have been the perfect time to have the air horns right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not if it's copywritten. You may have to pay fees on that shit. I can't use them right
Hopefully that
now.
got in there. Hopefully that got in there.
I'm
That
going
that
to the
that.
bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on.
Change that
I
shit.
just had to drop in a couple mind blowns because I never knew that Nas broke that song or or
Facts.
pin that track. I never knew because here's the
Facts.
thing. At that point, it was more valuable. And see, this is another business thing that people don't talk about.
Mhm.
Nas is still being paid off of that song.
Yes.
Facts.
Nas is still being paid off of that song.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
the way you got to look at this, if he wrote that song, he's still being paid off of it. Will Smith ain't been paid off of it in years.
Mm-mm.
Only time
Because
Will
he's
get
got
paid
the
off of
writing
it,
credits. He's got the
yeah,
writing
Nas got
credits behind that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nas got the writing credits. Will ain't getting paid off that. Nas
Will's
is
not
getting
getting paid off of that.
You know what's fucked up? Nas and Will both don't need the money, but Rakim sure could use a little extra change. Like,
That's
not saying
okay,
not saying
okay.
he broke, but he's not in that ultra high millionaire level like those two cats. So he could
Mm-mm.
use, like, you know what I'm saying? Give that man, cut
You,
that man $1 million just for using his flow. God damn it!
I
You know what I'm
mean,
saying?
that's where I believe
The books.
the some of the attitude comes in at with when people say, "Oh, you stole this and you stole that from me," but it's not so much that it's stealing because Rakim comes off as he's joking, but I can see it in his face. There's some salt in his face
Mm-hmm.
that he didn't get the credit because you get two or three things in your career, and I'm not saying it as if I went through the hip hop, catalog like that, but you get two or three times in your career to probably really make hay, and that would
Mhm.
have been that would have been Rakim's time. That
Yep.
would have been that would have been
Rakim
his
should
time
really
for
be.
them. I'm sorry,
He
go
should.
ahead, Tom.
He should really be mad at Nas, and they spoke on that. That song he did on Dre's album about Rakim and him and Dre not working out. Rakim wasn't happy about that either.
You talking about the 18th letter?
Not the 18th letter. The
Oh,
18th letter was the CD, but Rakim was on
Oh,
Dre's label
from
back when he was
from the Firm album.
not from the Firm. But
Okay.
remember when Rakim was on Dre's label?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Aftermath.
yeah,
that
yeah.
happened.
Then they fell, and then
Yeah.
it didn't work out. And
It
Nas
didn't
did a
work
song
out. Creative
afterwards
differences.
talking about there were creative differences. Nas did a song about it. I think it was on that double CD, Streets Disciple.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
Oh,
know that.
there was an interview about that, and they were like Nas. I mean, Rakim wasn't happy because Nas didn't come to him about it first.
yeah,
So
he was.
Ooh,
You talking
right
about
now.
the UBR record, unauthorized biography of Rakim.
Yes.
I got you.
Right.
That's it.
I
Yeah,
got you. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah.
They spoke on that. So Rakim probably salty at hip hop because everybody copying off him. Ain't nobody eating. They doing hella. They did Cold Crush.
Yes.
Copy.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah,
yeah,
Nas is my man, so I'm up on all Nas information and shit. You know what I'm saying?
And
yeah,
on
yeah.
top
See,
of all
I
that,
literally,
them last
but,
two
you know,
CDs, the King's Disease and King Disease 2, fire.
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 I was playing it
and
today.
here's the thing: is he getting any radio play on this? Because
I'm not gonna lie. I don't
all the
listen to radio. I don't do New York radio
I
anymore. I'm tired of Hot 97 and 105. No shade on them, but I'm tired of
okay.
they
See,
limited rotation, so I don't rock with them no more.
Word.
so limited rotation. That's what I want to talk about. Coming from the terrestrial radio, life. So are
Yes.
you telling me that Nas does not get played in his own city?
They'll play. What happens is they'll play. They'll like when they debut an album. Say when a local artist, he would be considered not like a hot artist. Like say like some of the younger artists that are kind of like taking over the scene in the last few
Mm-hmm.
years. He
Mm-hmm.
seems he's like an older artist. So what New York does is when the older artist comes out with another project, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll bring him. You come on Hot 97. You'll do the 105. You'll tour the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
They'll play your record for a little while once in a while. So like they'll play it say in the mornings during the morning show. They'll give it a little spin, but they basically have the same record rotation all the time. So they'll show a
The
little love
same
because
8
just
records.
because you're a New York cat, they'll show you a little love. I'm sorry, go ahead, B.
Mm-hmm.
No. I said the same 8 records get played.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
That's the
same
same
By
in Detroit.
record
And
Same in
every
predominantly,
that's
hour.
Detroit.
not just New York. That's not just New York. Trust me.
right.
They
Yeah.
do it down here
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Predominantly by
Outside of Lil Wayne
artists
and
that
Drake.
are 25 and under.
Yeah.
That's what they're catering
So
to. The younger generation, like they were doing with us. We're the older generation now.
yeah,
I
and
got
I
a
get it. It's
problem
cool
with
though.
that.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that if it's a hip hop station. They don't even have enough viable hip hop music to fill up a clock hour. Why wouldn't
Fact.
you filter in somebody like a Nas? See, we're coming from a genre where we say Nas is old school, even though he's making new music. Why wouldn't
Yep.
you filter in a legend like Nas? Why
Fact.
wouldn't you filter? Why wouldn't you filter in
That's a
New
fact.
York? New York, I'm sorry, but if you got everybody, you got part of the industry in New York, part of the industry in LA, all these other areas that came in, the dirty South and the Midwest and all that stuff that filtered in. I mean, they're all to blame as well. But I think if you're New York and you're LA and you're not, your whole clock hour is not peppered with New York and LA artists or East Coast and West Coast artists, I think you got to be a shit programmer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be a real shit programmer. But see, I don't even know if it exists anymore. But a company called
Policy.
Broadcast Architecture used to be around, and they basically, it basically used to be a boardroom of mayonnaise motherfuckers who sit around and figure out
Jesus.
the best songs for black people to listen to. Now I said mayonnaise motherfucker as the prelude, so you'd understand that most of these people that were picking black music, what we like, they always pick what we like,
Yep.
but they ain't never came from where we came from. I mean, and I'm
Nope.
talking about, and see, I don't need a Michael Rappaport motherfucker up in the room. I don't need an MC Search motherfucker up in the room. Somebody that's basically, learn the slang and he's down by law and this, that, and the other, and
Yeah.
and likes black women. No, no, no. I need black people in picking black music. Because that's the only way that that's going to work. I respect all
Mm-hmm.
these cats that are not black. I totally respect, the guys that are not black. But one thing that I have noticed, there's a difference between who'd I mention right there, like an MC Search. There's a big difference
Mm-hmm.
between an MC Search and a Marshall Mathers. I know Search's real name. I forgot his real name. Search was a DJ here in Detroit for a minute. He came to Detroit, and
Okay.
but he wanted to come to Detroit and be a New York
Okay.
nigga. And
Yeah.
Detroit don't let you do that. Detroit,
No, they don't.
No,
Howard
no.
Stern didn't come here. Howard Stern came here, syndicated wise. He didn't last here. Don Imus came here, syndicated wise. We don't like motherfuckers coming here talking about other places. When you're in Michigan, we want you to rep Michigan. When you working
Right.
in
Right.
Detroit radio, we want you to rep Detroit. Just like
Fact.
NYC, NYC is so, there's so many different factions of people. A syndicated radio host can come and succeed in NYC, but in reality, New Yorkers want you talking about New York. I couldn't come to New York and be popular on the radio. you know, with a Midwestern accent. I'm like, where this motherfucker come from? Who's this goofy nigga? You know, I mean, but then
That
if
was
I had the
like
New York
We'd
accent,
have to
go ahead.
package you up with two other New Yorkers. We'd have to package you with like a New Yorker.
Yeah.
You know, you would come in as a compliment to somebody that's local. Just
Here's the
Right.
like if
thing.
I was
There'd
to
be a
work there, I
Batman,
should
there'd be a
compliment
Robin, there'd
somebody
be a
like you
Joker.
that's a
I'd be
local.
Joker. I'd be Joker. I wouldn't be Batman or Robin because I'm not from New York, but I could be Joker. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
I could be that third, fourth wheel. I'm not gonna come into another market and think that I'm the shit and think that I know everything because I don't know, dude. I don't know none of that shit. How none of that works in New York.
right,
The way y'all
right.
flow. I don't know any of that. You know.
I
And
think about. Oh, brother Shannon, if I could just jump in one second.
no, you
I
good,
think
nigga. I'm on
about
your shit. Go ahead.
no, no,
I'm
no,
on
no,
your
no,
shit.
no, 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 no. It's an open forum, but I kind of think back to Tom Joyner Morning Show when he came to New York
Oh,
and he was on
oh,
BLS.
yes,
Hold on, hold
yes,
on,
Yeah.
hold on, hold on. Tom
yes.
Joyner Morning Show when he came to BLS
Mhm.
and was talking about stuff that was in Alabama, and I'm like,
Yes, yes.
this is Queens, this is Brooklyn, this is the Bronx. Yo, I want to know who got shot in Brooklyn. You know, I want to know about Yankee Stadium and the traffic by Citi Field. He's
Right.
Facts.
talking about
105. Hustler. What's
Tuscaloosa.
good?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right,
He was
right.
talking about that, and I'm like, okay, you know, I got much respect for him, but I was like, nah, I got to switch the channel because I mean, my
I
limited
need
knowledge, I don't really want to know about Tuscaloosa.
right,
Well, the
right.
program director is supposed to pull your coattail on that, like, Rock. I mean, I know that your show XYZ, but you still got a business to run at the end of the day, and that's just that's just a formula that doesn't work. It's been proven time and time again. So I'll leave it at that.
No, you just need
Anybody
that
else?
local
I want to go
flavor.
last. I want to go last on this one because I know I've been talking. So anybody else
No,
got
Nah,
go ahead.
Oh.
go in, go in.
So brother Tom slighted me back in the day.
Oh,
It's okay. It's okay because I understood his platform. But see, I was always told that I wasn't urban enough. I didn't talk black enough to be on urban radio. So I ended
ooh,
up on like AC stations. I was on a smooth jazz station. I did news, did little oldies. I started out in country. As a matter of fact, my government name, is McFall, Shannon McFall. So I got an Irish name. So I was the Irish cowboy. And
Oh shit.
motherfuckers did not know that I was black on the air, and until my identity was exposed at a remote one day, everybody thought I was white because of the way I spoke on the air. I didn't even like use a twang or anything like that. I just spoke very direct. I had a very straightforward delivery. But let me just explain what happened with Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner was set up to fail from the beginning. I mean, he had
Yes, he
an
was.
illustrious career. He had an illustrious career, but at the end of Tom's career, Tom was on more markets than Howard Stern. He was in more
yes,
markets, and he didn't make 20% of the money Howard made.
right,
So Tom didn't
right.
understand the game of radio, and he didn't understand the power that he had as a black radio host. Okay, so let me just explain Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner, as we know, went to Tuskegee. He always talked about how he went to school with the Commodore. He went to Tuskegee, whatever, and all that
TU,
with
baby.
Lionel
I
Richie and
went
all.
there too. I went there too. TU.
So, so he talked about that, and he built his whole platform, being a grounded country brother. And I mean, I don't know if y'all remember the Ebony Jet Showcase TV show back in the
Yes.
day.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom, he wanted to really move over into TV, but he wasn't a pretty nigga. He wasn't pretty to move into TV. But they did that show, and I'm sorry, but that should have been a platform because that was actually before BET. That
Yes,
show
it
was
was.
actually on before BET, and they should have been able to manifest that. Ebony Jet Johnson, whoever, whatever. They should have had a BET type platform well before BET came along, but we'll stay
I
on task.
think they was out the same time BET was.
You,
BET
and, you,
was
and, you, and you may be right. When I say
because I
was
think
out
they were
before, I
both
remember
early
seeing
'80s.
it.
They were both
I,
early '80s. Yeah.
think about this. Think about this, brother. I did not have BET in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Y'all had BET around the country. I didn't see BET until I got to Atlanta after I graduated from high school and went to school. So I didn't
Wow.
have BET, and I had MTV, but we
Right.
didn't have BET. BET
Right.
didn't come on up north until till right at the end of the 80s. You know, MTV ruled the roost. I didn't see all the videos. What was the thing y'all had? The box. I didn't see all that
Video
stuff. I didn't.
jukebox.
The video.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't see
Mhm.
all that stuff the way y'all did. So we saw videos. Only black videos we would see would be like on Yo MTV Raps,
Yes.
and then
Okay.
of course Prince and Michael Jackson would be on
MTV.
MTV.
And then you had
But
Friday Night
you know
Videos. Yeah.
exactly right. And so
Carlos
um,
Jesus.
I want to
Right.
get back. I'm gonna reel it back in. But with Tom Joyner, what Tom Joyner did, Tom Joyner allowed whoever his manager was, and like I said, I'm sure he made millions. Tom made millions, but they should have made billions, because what happened was he got on all those little Chitlin circuit stations, and he was all deep through the South. And as he started to work his way around the country, his manager or whoever was, because when you said programmer, you were correct there, Smoke. But
Goddamn mobile broadcasting motherfuckers. Go ahead, bro.
I thought he might have just said fuck all this and I'm just about to take over the broadcast on a hostile way. I didn't know what he was doing. So the thing was he was on all these radio stations, but he was on these really really small market radio stations.
Yes.
And the big market radio stations, you came in with their liners, you came in with their stuff, and you dealt with the small market radio stations. Tom basically took over radio stations for 4 hours. He took
Right.
over a lot of small radio stations for
Right.
4 hours. They didn't have to do shit. They just sat back and took it. Whereas the big market radio stations, they had clock hours that he had to conform to. And what
Mm-hmm.
Tom didn't do was he didn't take LA, New York, or
Couldn't.
like New York City. He didn't take LA, New York, Chicago, Detroit, all the big cities, Atlanta, Dallas. He was in Dallas. Remember, he's the fly jack, went from Dallas to
Yes.
Chicago and all that.
Right.
And he didn't take those markets and say, look, y'all need to build a format around, because I need to come at your people. I need to come at your people every
But he
single
was
day.
the
I need to talk
groundbreaker,
news.
though.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was
Say,
the
say it again.
groundbreaker.
He was the absolute groundbreaker to black syndication. Hell, we didn't even really hear syndication on our side until we started hearing about Tom Joyner do it. But what
Yes.
happened was he tried to do the same cookie cutter show for every single market, and he
Right.
got roped.
Oh,
He got
damn.
roped into that, and didn't
Right.
he did he didn't pinpoint those major markets where all
Yeah.
his money was really coming
I
from,
think he
and them
focused
little
more
chitlin circuit stations
on
was just getting thrown in. When he was at his height,
yeah,
Tom was making about
I
$7
think
$8
he was
million
pushing just the black market.
a year. He was making $7 8 million a year and paying his
Yeah.
staff off of that. Where Howard Stern was making $20 million, Robin Quivers was making $3 4 million, Stutter and John was making $1 million. The whole crew was making over $1 million on Howard Stern show, whereas Tom Joyner was making 8 and having to pay motherfuckers out of his show.
So,
And
And I
Brother
think he
Shannon, I
was
want to
doing
jump in.
something
I
on
want
the.
to jump in
Go ahead.
and say how much of this was due to the fact that Tom Joyner and Reach Media were not adept enough to cut these type of deals and/or establish in these larger markets. And like you said, you take that cookie cutter show. So it's in let's of the 4 hours, you look at in hour blocks. In hour blocks, you might have like 39 minutes
mm-hmm,
where outside of commercials and everything else like that, for marketing for the local station,
mm-hmm.
that it just didn't jive with the bigger markets.
So you're so on point that they didn't understand that you had to be localized even though you were syndicated,
Right.
and they didn't put that together. So like let's say Quaker. We know that the company that owns Quaker was a big sponsor of the Tom Joyner Show. I mean, we got the grits, the oatmeal, we got all the stuff that black people eat, right? Everything that the black so that whatever that what's that company? That company is the Pearl Milling
General
or
Mills.
whatever. You know,
General Mills.
General Mills is that okay? It's not the General Mills is going to be the master company, okay?
Right.
But you're going to have people talking about Quaker grits on Tom Joyner's show, where they may be talking about Honey Nut Cheerios on Howard Stern's show.
Right.
Well,
Mhm.
you got to get General Mills to be like, look, I need promotion in Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, where y'all sell all these grits. I need that talked up. And Tom Joyner's people should have had deals with these individual people. You know how every single segment now is sponsored? Every single
Yes.
segment. We're going. Tom Joyner could have been the first one to do that. They could have laid the groundwork to that. Remember how everything was sponsored with Black Planet, Black Planet, Black Planet. Everything
Yes.
sponsored by Black Planet on the Tom Joyner show. What happened
Yeah.
when Black Planet went away? Nobody replaced Black Planet.
No sponsors.
Mhm.
Nobody replaced, and all
Yeah,
those
had
sponsors that were
10 of them
going through
joints
Tom
lined up.
Joyner's show. Black Planet went away. He could have had Tom Joyner should have had his own thing. Like, okay, I'm sorry, but why is the Tom Joyner cruise more expensive than me going on Royal Caribbean and
Thank you.
just
I was about to
banging?
get to that too. I was
Yeah.
going to get to that. Yes.
The Tom Joyner cruise is 3 times more expensive than it is if I go ball out in a top room suite on Royal Caribbean.
You paying Disney Cruise money for his cruises. You're right.
You're paying Disney cruise money for Carnival for Carnival cruise benefits, because that's
Mm.
all it is. That's all it is.
Dang.
He just up to the big ships and went to Royal Caribbean over the last few years, but he was on Carnival for all them years, killing black folks.
Mm-hmm.
He was killing black folks on them little small ships and charging them all that money. I would never book a Tom Joyner cruise. I had a chance to go for a discounted rate when I was in radio, and I'm like, still fuck him. We was cruising on Royal Caribbean, and he's sending motherfuckers out there on Carnival ships with Disney cruise fees. I mean, we talking about it was nuts. Now, granted, from what I know, I guess you got all the musicians that are on the boat and they singing and they doing all that stuff. But those are shows you got to go to. You paying for all that,
You paying for
I mean, and so I get it. But dog, if you take the money and you say, okay, there's gonna be 10 concerts on the cruise, and we got the cruise. Even if you factored out the maximum money that you would pay for a concert and the cruise, it still came up the money was never right. I mean, I seen all them cats that be on the cruise ships. We pay 50, 60, 70, $100 a ticket for them. If you did that and then calculated the cruise, airfare, you still paid way more money. And I'm like, why is Tom gouging these people like this? Why is Tom gouging? I mean, it's supposed to be something fun. And really, the people that's supposed to get on those cruise ships never really got on a cruise. His core listeners, Tom Joyner's core listeners, never got on one of his Tom Joyner cruises. They couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford it, and that was exposed, and if you got all those crazy advertisers, you got buying power with them people. They should have been buying those fees down and making sure that his listeners he should have had 3 or 4 ships going at one time. Tom Joyner should have had 3 or 4 ships and then all getting to an island and them having everything on an island or something. Man, it was crazy how he charged those people, and it'd be the same people going on those cruise ships every year. Same
Mhm.
type of individuals going on, and then
Sometimes the same groups was up there performing too. I think.
say it one more time.
I think the same groups were performing all the time too, because it always kept that
Most of the
70s,
time.
80s. Yeah.
Yep, most of the
Same
time.
music he played on his radio, he had them live, and it was always the same group. Now, one thing that was killing his show to me was he was always playing the same music. He tried to switch it up, but then Steve Harvey took over. Now,
Yep.
Tom Joyner was doing good the same way Westwood One was doing good with their Sunday show. Because
Yep.
they always had that Sunday show. Westwood One was doing their thing. Because I remember listening to them all the time. So my
Right.
thing, I
Somebody
knew what he was
Sunday show.
Yeah, I forgot what man's name was that was
I'm
doing it.
messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Nah,
Look, fellas, I'm
there
sorry
was-
to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me get out of here. It's been a good run. I'm gonna bid you good evening, farewell, fellas. I tried to type it in the type, but my shit is frozen. My type is frozen.
Yeah,
So
it's
sorry to
frozen,
interrupt the flow. Fellas, yo, you guys have a good night. Thanks for having me. See you tomorrow with the block party if you can pull up 6 p.m. Peace.
All right,
Absolutely.
All
Smart.
right, peace out,
I'm
man.
gonna come
Peace
down in
out.
about
Thanks,
15
fellas.
minutes myself, Ted. I gotta get to bed, my damn
Peace.
son.
Yeah.
It's almost
You
1
know,
o'clock.
I
I know you about to get cussed out. You already blocked out once.
Oh,
Y'all playing with the missus, man. Hurry the hell up. Information man, you might not make it tonight, bro.
nice to
You
meet you,
just-
brother. I've never been on with was it Mr. B, the MMA guy?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, brother.
yeah. How you doing,
today?
man? I'm all right, man. I'm good.
I don't know if the misrepresentation that Tony gave me earlier that I'm some type of tyrant or something like that. You know, I'm usually
You're
a
not a
pretty docile
tyrant.
individual.
Nah,
I'm a
man, you
docile
good.
individual.
It's that
You're
power
good,
you gotta
man.
feel
You're not a
handle.
tyrant.
You're good,
Let me
brother.
tell you
Shetty. You
something. I
good.
ain't
You good.
misrepresent shit with your ass.
Ah.
That motherfucker come in here like Shaka Zulu out this bitch.
No, I know my environments. I know my environments. I really am trying to see us get into these things a little bit more organically. You know, I brought a brother on earlier. Prime is solid cat. Prime is a
Yeah.
solid cat, and
He's
he's
100
been
with
coming
his.
into chats and then fucking with my Facebook posting for a while. And I just finally just said, you know what? Come on, Haps, come on, Haps. And then he was getting on there, and he came on, and I saw glimpses. See, I saw glimpses and heard glimpses of his fire, and we had so many people on the panel. Not yesterday, not this past day. Well, you know, yesterday was Thursday, so Wednesday. That was when we got into that 5 hour thing, and he
Yeah.
came on. He came on, but the scenario was that when he came on, um, he took the cast into a different direction, and he gave me the confidence that yeah, somebody can come on here who's not usually on creating content, but he can just blow up the spot with just flat out facts and data and sincerity. And he's thorough, man. He's thorough, and I'm looking to work with people like that. I mean, I don't want to build anything on my own anymore. I've done some things where I've built things on my own, and they always end up falling flat because you need a team out here.
Agreed.
And I'm talking about businesses, and I'm talking about different things. You know, you really need a team, and if you don't have a team, you just end up running out of gas. If you got a log business, right, and if it's just you carrying the log, you got to take the log and pick the log up and take it to one side. And you got to go to the other side, and you got to pick the log up and then take it to the other side, right? But if you got two people, you can just pick the log up and get to moving. Well, I've been that one person short on so many different ventures. Now I don't even move. I don't even, if I feel like I'm going to end up being in that space by myself, I don't even move. So I found myself doing, Facebook Live videos because I wasn't scared, but I was just because I didn't have a team to do the post production and help me out with a real pod. Then I started seeing how things were able to be done on your own. You didn't have to be,
You don't
with a
need that
team.
production team anymore.
Not anymore. But see,
Not
when I
anymore.
started doing this shit, I didn't know nothing about video editing. I was an audio guy. I can edit audio. I know sound waves and all that stuff, and I know how to break audio down. But here's the thing. I started editing audio, fellas, with a razor blade. I started on reel to reel. I know how to
Gotcha.
edit audio on a reel to reel, and I know how to use a razor blade and cut audio like that. When that shit went to digital, it made life so easy, but I wasn't in that realm. I still would go back in the studio, use reel to reel. Reel to reel is still the clearest shit you ever gonna get. You go reel to reel, you got a clean reel, and you record some shit. I put reel to reel up against any fucking thing because you don't lose nothing with reel to reel. Even with digital audio, you lose something with natural instruments, with electronic instruments. But with reel to reel, you capture that shit. You capture that shit. That's why when you still see, to this day, when you see recordings, they simulate the real. They want that. They want that sound. And real motherfucking producers, they got a reel to reel machine in their studio.
That's respect
You
to the
want that.
originals right there. That's exactly
It's you know, and I grew up on that shit, with reel to reel versus, with audio editing and things like that. So, but when I had to jump in that video realm, the easiest thing for me to do was a Facebook Live video. I didn't know nothing about capturing the video
Mm-hmm.
and going into some video editing software. I didn't know anything about that, but
Splicing it.
I had cats around me who did, but they wouldn't jump on board. So I said, fuck it, and then I stopped doing it. And I just stayed with Facebook. I was making Facebook Live videos 5 years ago, man. And I should have stopped. And when I started doing YouTube, I should have never turned back and went back and did Facebook Live videos because that's what messed me up. In 17, I just gave up after 2 years of doing Facebook Live. I said in 17, I'm gonna do YouTube. I did a few YouTube videos, nothing could really catch on. But then I went back and did Facebook Live videos, and I said, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. It wasn't a situation because I've been talking about the same shit the whole time. I've been saying, only thing that I really graduated to is more of this conscious thing of talking about like repair and reparations and things like that. But I've always come from the same vein. I ain't never been on no goofy shit. I ain't never said and did things where I couldn't go back and pull content from right now. I can go back to a 16, 17 video, pull it. I'm talking about the same thing. Talking about family. I'm talking about, doing for self. I'm talking about, how we've been fucked up out here in the game, but we can't sit here and complain. We need to get up off our ass. I've been talking
Right.
about the same thing. What's incorporated now is, I do talk about reparations. I do talk about repair, restorative justice. It's just more of an updated thing of what I've been talking about. Um, and I want to build with brothers out here. I think that's the only way that we can really get anywhere is building with brothers. And I've been seeing a lot of tearing brothers down. Like I said, all that
Yeah, I don't
blocking,
like
all that
that. I
craziness.
don't like
I
that.
can't.
Nah, man.
I can't deal with that, man. I mean, yeah, I'm a argumentative person. I love to debate and this, that, and the other. But I ain't gonna be on no goofy shit. And if you got personal differences, you got to take your personal differences off the air. One thing
Right.
that I don't mind doing is putting myself out there, but I'm not gonna put myself out there and blast another man. So and I call it out all the time. White supremacists are looking at us right now. We don't know who's in this chat room. We don't know who's gonna really see this stream. But white supremacy looks at us and they be like, "Uh-oh, wait a minute, what are they over here doing?" You got four brothers over here talking. They not talking about twerking. They not talking about dope. They not talking about lean. They not talking about. And, but we over here talking. That's a problem. That's a real problem. They don't
Real
like
talk.
this right here.
That's
They
real
Yeah,
talk.
don't like this right here.
yeah.
And here's the
Fact.
thing: we add 2, 3, 4 people that don't look like us. Oh, that's a real fucking problem. That's a real problem because that's when we die. That's when they come for us. As long as we sit around and talk to each other, they leave us alone. Niggas talking to niggas, they leave you alone. Get 3, 4 white people listening to you. Get 3, 4 white people advocating for you. That's when they coming for your ass because now you starting to move the needle. Now you starting to get people that don't look like
Yes.
you listening and advocating for you. I ain't talking about just the Black Lives Matter sign holders. I'm talking about real people that's gonna go down with you when you trying to get some business done at the Capitol building, at City Hall, at the Township Hall. I'm talking about real shit. Though that's when it gets scary for white supremacy. White supremacy, they couldn't care less about us sitting around here talking about Tom Joyner and this, that, and the other. Now there's a bigger play behind us talking about Tom Joyner. It shows how slow to the game we were. Tom was happy. He was happy with the money. His people he was making money with was happy. They didn't see tomorrow though.
Mm-mm.
Howard Stern's people saw tomorrow. They saw tomorrow. They're like,
Always.
oh shit. They're like, oh
Always.
shit.
I
And
saw
I
that.
always just use them to. Sorry, Tom. I always just use them to as because in the game they were the two biggest in the game at one time, but totally different contrasting situations.
Right.
Howard wasn't even in as many markets as Tom was, and he was making 80% more money, and it made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. But it was the people that he had working for him versus the people that Tom had working for him.
Agreed.
And Tom will never say that because he ain't gonna kick a brother. But Tom he had some bad representation.
Walt,
He
how you
had
doing,
he had
buddy? Good to
Walt was
see you.
good. Information man was
What's up,
good.
Walt?
Whoa,
Hey,
what's
what's going
going
on?
on?
Shit.
Info man,
Mason,
what's
man.
going on, man? It's been a while.
No, and I just came up to say what's up to everybody. I appreciate you sending me the invite. Good to see all the brothers
It's been a while.
having a good conversation. Yeah, it has been a while, brother, but I'm glad to see you live, and I'm glad to see everybody having a great conversation. I was listening. I was following the Tom Joyner. I used to listen to his show, and you know, brother Shannon is right. He limited himself because everything was about the South, and he didn't know how to. I think you said this too, brother Hicks. He didn't broaden his black audience by getting more into those urban markets where you have a more dense, larger population of black people in some of these urban settings.
Right.
And he didn't know. I think you're right. He made good money. He made good money. What he thought was good money. He got comfortable, which a lot of our people get. A lot of our people get really comfortable, and they just settle for less because, hey, long as I'm paying the bills, everything's fine around me, and I'm popular. You know, why should I change what I'm doing? But